Hi, goes the family. Welcome back to Patterson Hill Properties. Hopefully, you guys are having a great day. Today I'll be talking about a subject matter that is it's just becoming the new norm, remote working, because it is starting to change the landscape of real estate, and it's going to forever change the landscape of real estate for a lot of parts of the United States. Not even just the United States, I think are all around the world as we know it. The U.S. economy moving and a lot of other economies moving at a slow pace, and uncertainty with any sort of job security is definitely on the rise. One thing is for sure, everything, and I mean everything, is all about the cost of living, the beautiful thing known as inflation, and full-time employment going down for a specific portion of the population. One thing is for sure, family, living in the higher cost of living in high tax and income tax state for working people is going to become a thing of the past, especially within the next 5 years. The next 5 years from 2021 to 2025 are going to be telling because it's been predicted by economists around the world that our economy will truly feel the effects of COVID-19 within the next 4 to 5 years. So with that being said, if one wants to conduct any kind of business and increase their profit margins so that they can purchase real estate or even more real estate, they may not want to live in states that I'm about to mention. I'm going to mention these states not because I have anything against them. One of the number one that has the highest income tax in the country is actually my favorite state in the country because of the weather and the geography of it. But with a lot of the money being scarce for a lot of people right now and a lot of uncertainty, no matter what the situation is, to make true economic moves in a stay-at-home economy, the landscape is going to start changing more and more so. And I think the thing that with COVID-19, it's actually it put certain things that were predicted to happen, I think maybe 10 to 15 years from now, just kind of put it in the overdrive. I think a lot of things that were going to happen from a remote stay-at-home economy was going to happen regardless, because when it comes down to it, especially a company's bottom line, the dollars make sense when it comes to people's bottom line, so they can survive the dollars and cents. And if they can't survive someplace, it doesn't make sense to stay there. That's why people come to the U.S. They feel like they can do better here instead of their own country. So states like California that have a 13.3% income state tax rate. Hawaii is 11%, Oregon's 9.9%, Minnesota's 9.85%, Iowa, which I was surprised, 8.98%, New Jersey, not a surprise, 8.97%, Vermont, 8.95%, District of Columbia, not a surprise, DC, 8.95%, New York, not a surprise, 8.82%, in Wisconsin, which was a surprise, 7.65%. So, it's all over the country, whether it's the West Coast, whether it's the East Coast, whether it's the Midwest, every state has their own thing. Like I said, I'm not talking bad about anybody because it does me no good. Now, I'm not opposed to taxes whatsoever, because even in states where there's no income state taxes, they have higher sales taxes, and at times higher real estate taxes. And everybody needs states to preserve themselves. City, state, they need revenue like a company in order to operate, in order to even exist. Now, the states like California and Hawaii have the highest income state taxes in the United States. Depopulation over the next 5 to 10 years in these areas is going to create real estate opportunities, possibly because of the lack of demand in the future. It could create opportunities for prices to go down, one would imagine. Now, when it comes to the states with the highest sales taxes, before I go over that, my personal perspective on that is nothing is sustainable if people can't afford to buy a house. That's just what it is. We already know that California and Hawaii have two things in common outside of the high taxes and whatnot and the cost of living. But they have homeless camps, and they have, you go to, and I've known people that have gone to Hawaii, they've talked about beaches, literally have homeless camps. California has homeless camps, and a lot of other states do as well. I'm not just picking on these specific areas and whatnot, but nothing's sustainable if the crime rate is consistently going up. Nothing is sustainable if the homeless population is going up. And that means even as a whole, the states are going to, and local communities are going to continuously lose money. So that's another conversation for another day, because I'm not an economist, so I'm not going to make any predictions on that level. Okay. Now, when it comes to the states that have the highest sales taxes, let's take a look. New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Illinois, California, Wisconsin. Once again, I have nothing against these states or any other states, but if regular working people can no longer afford to reside in your state, then the question is, what is that going to do to the real estate market? Okay, is that going to force prices to actually go down in the future if people can't afford to live there? And if you have neighborhoods like you had in Detroit at one time, in parts of Baltimore that are basically empty, then eventually the value of that real estate is going to go down. I mean, come on now. There's a reason why in a place like Baltimore, you can find a house for um, 500 to $1,000 and whatnot. And the same thing in Detroit, pennies on the dollar. Okay. Because a lot of vacant neighborhoods. Is that the future for places like California and Hawaii? I hope not. But I'm just saying if people can't afford to live there, that might be the one sad thing, to make a place economically depressed to the point where that's would drive the cost of living down as far as or at least drive the cost of the real estate down because nobody's living there. I don't understand how the value could be so high. That's just my thing. But hey, like I said, that's just my personal opinion. So it might create opportunity for people to be a mad gold rush of people coming in, possibly even foreign investors coming into places like Hawaii and California and buying up the real estate once the bottom drops, if that happens. Don't want it to happen because I don't want to ever see have to see people, a mass migration of people being homeless and losing their houses and things of that nature. But it just kind of says, the question is, what are they going to do, okay, to fix the problem and whatnot? Because if not, that's the only thing I can predict to see what might occur in the future is more depopulation and more people moving to other places where they can afford to live, okay? I just put it like that. I have nothing against these states and any other states, but if regular working people, like I said, if they can't afford to live there, it is what it is. Another thing is that the homeless population and the crime is on the rise, which that's been a big thing for people, not only in California. I'm not going to say about Hawaii, but definitely it's been a problem in New York, a lot of other places that you don't feel safe. And if you see that the homeless population is rising and you pay a lot of money to reside in the place, I always got to say, you got to be the one to make that personal decision to say, hey, is this place really for me anymore? I don't know. You know what I mean? I got an uncle that doesn't want to be in New York anymore because of the crime rate. So, it's not even just the high cost of living. It's like if I don't feel safe in a place and I don't want to have to feel like I'm in a war zone, even if I have to fight people off and whatnot, I don't think any reasonable human being wants to live in a war zone. Let's just call it what it is. So that's already brought some of the housing prices down in New York, not significantly to where it's much more affordable, but the price has gone down because people are leaving, and then because a lot of people, because of their stay-at-home economy, a lot of people like, well, heck, if I don't have to come into the office, I'm moving to a state like Oklahoma or Texas or the Carolinas or Georgia or Virginia or something like that, where my cost of living has gone down, one, and two, I'm still making the same money from New York standards. So therefore, my quality of life has kind of gone up. That's just another thing to take into consideration. From a real estate perspective, I could just see something like that, possibly even having in a city like New York, if things like that continue, and especially with the remote stay-at-home economy, because you even have a lot of people that have jobs in California, but they live in Southeast Asia and whatnot, or they live in Mexico, or they live in Nevada, or they live in Arizona, they live close by. This is a growing trend, so this is going to open the door for more people saying, forget it, I'm not going to rent here anymore. So that's going to hurt landlords, and it's going to open Pandora's box. So people say, I don't want to own real estate in this area anymore. So that's going to hurt the counties, the cities, and the state. So, and the banking institution. So it's all encompassing, family, and the contractors, all encompassing. Something to think about. Okay. So that's all I can say about that. I'm not trying to be Mr. Doom and Gloom, but this is just something that could happen in the foreseeable future if these areas don't change how they're doing things. There's no other way, But I'll leave it at that, okay? Because the stay-at-home economy is on the rise, period. And even when, like I said, there's a vaccine, I think reasonable people get that even when that day comes, people start feeling safer and get back to quote unquote normal, some sort of normalcy, most people are still going to be like, yeah, I love this lower cost of living in this country or this state. So I got my stay-at-home job. So I'm just going to stay in this area and not go back. So, and also please remember that, with remote working is for the most part, like I said, it's here to stay. And small and big corporations are saving and going to save, especially when the leases are up, a lot of money by not having people in so many freaking buildings anymore, or not owning so much commercial real estate. They're going to save a boatload of money on that. And like I said, a lot of people are actually itching at the mouth for the new year to come because a lot of people are thinking that they're looking forward to taking advantage of commercial real estate going down and then turning the commercial real estate into something else if they have the opportunity to purchase it. So I believe for the next 10 years, we're going to see a major shift in that kind of culture. Okay. And that's going to open up some great opportunities for real estate, and it's going to hurt some people in real estate. It's just one of those things, all right? People that live in places like New York, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, San Francisco, they working from Texas, Florida, like I said, or they could be working from a third world country, where the cost of living is even cheaper than it is in the South. It's just something to take into consideration. With that being said, this opens the doors for more vacant real estate across the entire country, not just those areas I mentioned, okay? Not just in high tax states. It's something to think about. At this point, I'm only speculating, but one thing is true. I myself do not want to purchase real estate, um, especially in investment. I don't want to purchase investment property real estate in any state that has high taxes, high crime rates, high homeless rates. I don't think most people from a reasonable standpoint will want to purchase real estate in those areas, but hey, everybody's different. For me, it just doesn't do anything for my bottom line, and I'm in the real estate business for the bottom line. So on that note, do the great 3 free things: like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully you guys have a great day. New week, new opportunities. So as always, family, let's make money move. Take care.